go on record. So we always start in the same way, Carmen. I hope you will indulge me with our quick fire questions for you. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
All right, awesome. What was your favorite age?
My favorite age. College years are coming to mind, the 18 to 22. It was so much fun. A lot of eating out, driving my mom's car.
Yeah, I
What
can
was there not to like?
right?
And
No
just
worries.
the excitement of discovering the world. Oh yeah, let's drive far.
Love it. Love it. What would we find on your nightstand?
So for sure, I have books, I have pens, I have water bottles to make sure that I can hydrate right there. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And give us a snapshot of an everyday small joy for you.
And every day, say that again.
A snapshot of an
Uh,
everyday small joy, something that is just ordinary but brings you joy.
breakfast. Breakfast. Yeah. It feels like, what a rich day, right? If to me, breakfast is a little bit of a luxury, really. And I do my big breakfast. It's a Tex-Mex recipe, and I do it my style. I have adapted it. I'm vegetarian, so yeah, I do it my style, no meat, and it's like it feels so expansive. It's like now I'm ready to start the day.
Love it. I love that it was food related. It would definitely be food related for me too. Thank you so much, Carmen. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us today. So for anybody new to this, it's the Event Managers Project Manager series. We've been running this for the last 6 months, supporting event managers to see how they can diversify their skill set into other areas, whether that means, upskilling into project management and staying in the events industry and having that skill set, or making a transition into a completely different industry. We are looking to develop the program. So we're looking to get a little bit more skill based around project management tools and techniques. And we can talk around some of those templates and you can get really practical with it. And also some of the advice around making career transitions. So whether that's from a confidence point of view, so some coaching techniques that you can use to kind of support in that getting the right mindset for making a transition. So we're really, really excited about where this is going to evolve into. We will be asking people to sign up to that. So it will be a membership model. There will be a free tier to that. And then you go up the tiers depending on what you're looking for. So very, very excited about that. And we also have soon to come a mentoring scheme. So it's a platform that we're building to match mentees. So either new to project management with project management professionals who have been in the industry for a little while and kind of can provide that support in this transition. So we're very, very excited about some of the stuff coming up. And today, Carmen is joining us she's amongst many things around leadership development and lots of other things that she does. She is a job search coach, and she's here to provide some guidance around CV writing and getting that interview. So thank you, Carmen, for joining us. If I can hand over to you.
Totally. Thank you so much for having me. Hello, ladies that are joining us here live, and also to those of you watching the replay. So very excited. And let me know, Jay, if I have rights to present. I put together a few pages with some notes and thoughts that I want to share with you. I put it in a very simple Word document format, and my intention is to share it with you so that you can distribute to the group, and that can continue to serve as a reference material.
So. Wonderful. I've just made you a co-host, so you can share your screen, and if there's any links or anything, we can share those in the chat.
Fantastic. So I believe you should be able to see my screen now. All right, perfect. So I want to share a little bit about where I'm coming from, where I have been in my career, so that you know the, yeah, a little bit of what explains where I've been. Um, in the mid 2000s, in the late 2000s, I became a formal project manager after years in my career where I had done project management informally. I had done it as an account manager, and I had done some project management also as a consultant. Now, in 2008, I became a formal project manager with the formal title and everything. And so I started doing the job. I did it for about 5 years for a large reinsurance company, one of the largest of the world. And I did the job for about 5 years. After those 5 years, then I certified as a PMP, and I held the certification for 6 years. It expired right in the middle of the pandemic, so I'm still trying to figure out how to fit in the time to do the 60-hour credits of reaccreditation requirement. And so now, also, since the beginning of my career, my bachelor's degree was in human resource management. So that with that, I learned all the ins and outs of the job search and how do we present ourselves to be more successful as candidates. So today I am bringing together those two disciplines in one of my first formal programs about this, and this is very exciting. During this summer, also to share with you, I have been working with about 100 candidates who lost their jobs due to COVID. And among them, I had the experience of working with 3 or 4 candidates who were trying to make this transition from event manager to project manager. And there's great news. You have already transferable skills that you can bring into project management. You already have probably some project management experience in that you can claim in your own right formally. So here are, for this session, I suggested the idea to Jay to ask for some CV examples to get a sense of where some of your CVs are. And I like to do that because that way I can give you advice that is very relevant to where you are, and I can see what are the, what are the suggestions that I would make. As I have these conversations, I like to caveat, however, CV writing, resume writing, as we call it in the US. I'm joining you, by the way, from the greater New York City area. Um, it is an art. It is an art more than a science. And so today I'm going to be sharing Carmen's suggestions with you. If you go and you take to your CV to someone else, they may disagree with my suggestions and they may give you different suggestions. And that doesn't mean that my suggestions are wrong. It's just this is an art and people have many different opinions. So what I like to say to the candidates and that I work with is, at the end of the day, this document, you own it. So feel free to listen to different opinions and then make your own decision. What feels most comfortable to you? What feels right to you? Okay. So all of that being said, you ready for some tips? Ooh, 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 Ooh. I'd like to start, and also, ladies, let me ask you some questions, because I really love to have conversation with participants in my programs. So please tell me in the chat, are you making are you making this transition from event manager to project manager? Is that you? And the reason I ask you is that by using the chat, we can move two conversations at the same time. It goes very well also with our multitasking brains. So yeah, let me know in the chat. Does this describe you? Are you making this transition from event manager to project manager? Okay, great. Thank you for sharing. Okay, wonderful. Fantastic. So, great. So, let's talk a little bit about formatting. You have your CV. One of the first things, formatting, and I'm using the concept formatting, I'm referring to how you structure the document. First of all, do not write the word curriculum vitae or CV. It's not necessary. For someone who's going to be looking at your document, they are going to identify that it is that. At the top, we usually start with our contact information, our name, in phone number, email address. And I want to mention to you, in the US, we have stopped sharing our address there. So maybe what we may do is we may indicate the city and state, but not the full address. And whenever you fill the employment application, you can provide that there. Okay. Also, the CVs can be weird in that we write about ourselves in third person. We avoid using the pronoun I or writing in that first person. And when we write about ourselves in third person, we don't use pronouns at all. So for example, I could make one of my bullet points, led a team of 8 to 10 subject matter experts. And so I don't use any pronouns there. In the most to bring your resume to 2020, we are recommending in the industry to include at most 15 years of experience. And the reason we are indicating that is that, think about it, we are in 2020 right now. Going back to 2005, does that feel like a different world? Right? In 2005, we might have been starting to use social media. I mean, the thought that comes to mind is Facebook looked so different, if I am getting right, that it was around. And so the world has changed so much, the technology has changed so much that it really doesn't make sense to include more than 15 years. In my recommendation, if you have 15 or more years of experience, it's okay for you to use a two-page CV. And here I am also using the guidelines that we use for resumes. We usually make the distinction that resumes are shorter documents and CVs are longer. But I think for your purposes, for the type of work that you are looking for, which is in project management, I think it works very well to use the guidelines of a resume. CVs, in my opinion, are very appropriate for, say, an academic career, right? Where there are long lists of publications, research, But in business, I think that if we can show that we are concise, that plays to our advantage. And if you have 10 or less years of experience, keep it to one page. A caveat that I would make here is if you have 15 plus years of experience, I wouldn't want you to choose to sell yourself short and indicate less experience that you have. What you could do is at the very top of your resume or CV, when you include that top section that's a professional summary, you can indicate there the total years of experience that you have if you want. At the same time, this is something that I like to discuss with my candidates on a one-on-one basis to address concerns, because ageism becomes a concern, right? When we have over 20 years of experience, will I be judged to be overqualified? Will I be judged to be too old for the job, etc.? If you hold certifications, which are very popular and very coveted in the project management field, I encourage you to create a separate certifications section. And so let me know in the chat, do you have any certifications in this field? I'm curious to know certifications that are relevant for the job you're looking for, that are relevant for project management. The another section, okay, another section that you can create is a section called training, or I wonder if it may go by a different name in your local region. Mhm. Wonderful, fantastic, Jay. And by the way, let me confirm with you, what is your region? I'm assuming that some of you are at least Jay is in the UK, and I'm curious about. Okay, fantastic, wonderful. Ladies, I also want to share with you, I spent a semester in London as an exchange student back in 2007. What a beautiful, beautiful experience. I chose a flat that was near Abbey Road, and that was so funny. In my first few days, I was like, why are people having their pictures taken as they cross the street? Until I realized, oh my god, this is Abbey Road.
So glad you had such a beautiful experience there.
It was, yeah, it was a spring semester. It was beautiful. Loved the weather, even the little rain. It was so cute. You could also create the training section. Let's come back to the training section. You can create this section to indicate training that you have taken. I think that I would keep it to the most recent training, and I'll tell you why. Because with this section, my intention is that you show that you keep up with the new knowledge in the field. And so showing training from 15 years ago, right? I'm not sure how valuable that is. Now, when you can show the training from the last 5 years, again, I'm thinking about how fast things are moving, etc. The another item, and these ladies and gentlemen who join us on the replay, these are tips that I gathered after reviewing CVs from 3 of the members of this group, and so I hope that you find the relevance to them. On your CV, you don't want to tell full stories. You want to keep your bullet points very streamlined, very, very tight, as we would say, in that they are very focused, concise, specific to the accomplishment you want to highlight, and then leave the full storytelling for the interview. Because see, as we are talking the job search, these are the steps, are the steps as I see them. If you have your LinkedIn profile, which I suggest very much to have your LinkedIn profile and to be active on the platform. And let me ask you, are you active on LinkedIn? Let me know in the chat. So as I see it, LinkedIn can be a great place to be found. Fantastic, great job. It's a great platform to be found. My recommendation to you is don't have your full resume on there, but do have keywords that are going to help you be found. From there, what I see happening as the next step is the recruiter will contact you and will ask you for a copy of your resume. Your resume provides more information. Okay. Now, your resume or your CV, my apologies, I'm going between the US and the UK terms. From your CV, then what is meant for your CV to do is to encourage the employer to call you to interview. So when they call you in for an interview, that is the time to tell your full stories. And I mentioned to you the framework to use: situation, task, action, result. And that's something that we can go deeper into that if you want when we do Q&A. And then another thing about formatting: use bullet points instead of thick paragraphs to describe your achievements. I have seen a number of CVs that include these thick paragraphs to indicate what was done in a job. And I think one of the traps of using those paragraphs is that they focus a lot on this is what I did instead of these were my accomplishments. I think in a way that the bullet points remind you and maybe give you that little kick of, okay, let me use my space very efficiently. Let me be very focused about what I achieved. And advice that I give the candidates that I work with is make sure that your CV is your own story. Make sure that your CV is Nadine's story. Make sure that your CV is Judith's story. Make sure that it's Jay's story, right? So that, and what I mean by that is don't write about what you did that everybody else does. Write about what you accomplished that is specifically yours. Okay. All right. Some other tips that come to mind about how to stand in your project management CV: mention project budgets, team size that you have managed. So this goes to quantify, right? And this helps you. This is the main technique uh, that I encourage my candidates to use. Quantify. What are the numbers that go with what you did? How many projects, how many team projects did you lead? How complex was the project plan? For example, I like to say of the largest project that I ever managed, when we came out of the project planning workshop, we came out with a 500-line project plan, to give you a sense of how complex that was. And from there, we continued growing that project plan. Mention also the result that your actions led to. Don't just stop at the point of saying what you did. Continue and mention this is what it led to. For example, one of the things that I'm very excited about in my career as an accomplishment was that at one point I took over this small project where it was in crisis. The previous project manager had been let go from the organization for her performance on this project. And as I started reviewing the project documentation, something that I noticed was she had been writing and providing 60 slide presentations every month to the steering board. Were they overwhelmed by 60 slides? 60? They were. And when I had conversations with them, this was one of the things that they said to me, Carmen, if you could fix that for us, please. I was like, I totally get it. I totally get it, you know? And so I reduced what they used to receive in 60 slides. I reduced it to 5 main slides and 10 additional pages of additional support. But you know what? If they didn't have the time to read those 10 pages, they knew everything they needed to do in those 5 pages. So again, this goes to what I was telling you earlier, that there's value in showing that you can communicate concisely. Okay. The next point that I want to share with you is, let me pause there. Ladies, any questions? Any questions so far? Feel free to unmute your line.
I think just while they're thinking of any questions they have, you more of a point around kind of, you mentioned like, what is it that you fixed for us? Like focusing on the problem that you're solving or that you went in to solve makes it very, very clear. Instead of kind of talking about, I did administration, or I did, I did lots of filing. Like, what was the problem that you solved that the recruiters or the hiring managers are going to really connect with? Reduce the amount of time or space used or whatever that is. What was the problem? I think when you said, what are you fixing, demonstrating that, I can see how powerful that is.
Totally. Improved processes, reduce costs, right? Yeah. Nadine, Judith, anything from your side?
The only thing I was thinking, but we haven't, you might be touching on that next, is the look and feel of the CV, the layout, whether you should go for more of a clean white page with just text and bullet points, or whether the sort of new Canva kind of template to sort of jazz it up a bit is the way forward. That's my question.
Okay, great. Thank you for that question. So these are my thoughts on layout. We start and let me answer real quick the Canva question. So in my opinion, it depends on the industry that you are applying to. I mentioned at the beginning, my experience in project management was mainly in insurance. For insurance, I wouldn't use a Canva. I wouldn't get super fancy with graphic designs, this and that. Nah, white paper, black ink, that's good. Now, if you are applying for an industry that is creative, they might appreciate that. Okay. And it might help you stand out by showing your creativity. If advertising agency, for example, if you're going to be leading projects of building websites, that would be on brand. Now, the layout. So we start at the top with our contact info at the very top. I like also when you are experienced, I think it's really good to have a professional summary section. And that's basically your profile. Where have you been? What are your areas of expertise? You can highlight certifications up there to tell someone that doesn't have time, tell them very quickly everything you need them to know. Something else that something else that I recommend, and this is a little controversial. This is where people may tell you, oh no, I wouldn't do what Carmen said. If you are switching, if you are making a big switch in what you did in the past to what you're wanting to do in the future, I recommend the use of the objective. And this is why. Some people will say, oh, that is so 1980s. Oh, objectives. Oh, they are so in the past. Well, this is why I recommend it. Because the recruiter that looks at your resume, if you don't have an objective, they will assume that you want the same type of job that you did before. Okay? That's a usual assumption. And so if you are switching, if you are pivoting in your career, then I think it makes a lot of sense to indicate an objective and say, this is the type of position that I'm looking for now. Now, something that I see, think of the objective. The objective is still another opportunity for you to show that you know your stuff. You know what you're talking about. I see many candidates use the objective to say, well, I want to continue to develop my skills. I want to grow with the company. I want to fulfill my professional goals. And what I ask my candidates to do is, think about the employer's point of view. How attractive is that to an employer? You are talking what you will get out of the position. Tell them that you know in the objective, tell the employer that you know the value that this position brings to them. I think that's a better use of the space. That helps you be more persuasive. That helps you show that you know what this job brings to the organization. You know what you bring. You are determined to bring that to the organization. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you have your contact information, your objective, if you will have it, your professional summary. Under that, if you are more experienced, indicate your experience. If you are less experienced or a student that is just joining the full-time workforce, indicate your education. So notice that. If you have more experience, if you have 5+ years of experience, put your experience up there. If you have less than that, if you are just recently graduating, put your education. Why am I making those distinctions? If you are a recent graduate, then you are selling your potential. You are selling your preparation, okay? If you have more experience, you are selling your experience first. So there goes your experience section. Under your experience section, you can indicate certifications, training, education, hobbies, or any other personal items that you indicate. And I realize European CVs, I have seen that sometimes you include information like your date of birth, your marital status, etc., or sometimes citizenship information. I have seen some of that. Yeah, go with what you see. The trend is we don't include that info in the US. We don't want to provide info that is protected, and that we can be discriminated by. Is that helpful? Okay. Judith, anything from you? Any questions from you? Your line is muted. Please be sure to unmute your line.
Yep, I was just taking notes in the meantime. It was really helpful information. Thank you very much.
Okay,
No
great.
questions right now.
Okay, fantastic. Next thing, my friends. Keywords. Keywords have become very, very important in the last 20 years, I would say. This is something that we didn't talk about prior to the 2000s, but they have become very, very important, in particular because of employers' use of software that scans our documents for these keywords. Employers are using keywords as proxy to identify if you have the skills they are looking for. So for someone who is pivoting into project management, you need to be able to tell the story of your previous experience with project management language. And in this document, I gathered for you a list of keywords that I found. I actually looked at Indeed UK, and I looked at 3 or 4 job postings for project management jobs. And this is how I identified these words. Where do you want to use your words? Number 1, make sure to put them on your LinkedIn profile. Put them on the summary section of your LinkedIn profile. Put them also under each job experience. The more keywords that you have, they will help you to be found. And number 2, for sure, put them on your CV. Put them at the top professional summary section. Sprinkle them through your achievement bullet points. Include them all throughout. So I'll let you have this document. You can take a look at it. I did my best to include UK spelling.
Thank you so much.
So notice here how my word is going like, what? How are you spelling that, Carmen? And then here's a checklist for you to include, for you to put your cover letter and CV to the test, let's say. I give you a number of things that I believe your CV should have. How do you test your CV to be working for you, to be doing what it needs to be doing? So you have 21 items here. Yeah. And then finally, I share with you my bio and contact info if you want to be in touch. So Jay, I think we talked about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing that we are at 44. I feel so sharp. I feel so sharp.
Very impressive. Brilliant. Thank you. Next week, we're going to have somebody who's very, very experienced in the project management industry come in and talk about how to confidently make a transition, how to stand out as a project manager, how to stand out in terms of the competition, and how to confidently, even if you don't have a lot of experience, how to present yourself confidently. So we're really, really excited about that. So do come back next week. Carmen, thank you. Thank you so much for your incredible insights. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Jay. I just want to mention for you ladies and for those who may watch the replay, I am available as a job search coach to take individual clients. So please be in touch if I can be of help. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.